How well do you study? Are you good at studying? If yes, why is that so? What's your secret? But if your answer is no, then you're wrong. A lot of students struggle with this problem. You are not alone. But also, a lot of students are doing just well in studying. What's the catch? Why are they different? Does being good in studying a gift from above? Well, bad news. There are people who are really gifted and have the talent to think fast. But the good news is, anyone can do it. The most common way to measure one's ability to think is by measuring their IQ level. A high IQ an individual has means he or she is a fast learner, while on the other hand, having a low IQ means he or she is a slow learner. This is not good because those people who have a low IQ don't have any faults that they are born like that. If we only assume that we only have one brain, which is our organic brain. But I don't even have a brain. Most students may proudly say, but the thing is, our brain isn't the only one that can think for us. There are smartphones, calculators, the internet, even other people or animals, and many more. This can also be our brain, which can help us think faster and more accurately. This doesn't mean you can have the brain of your pet dog or cat to know what are they thinking about you. No, sadly not. But these are tools that can help our productivity on doing unimaginably many tasks while improving the quality of work. It's like magic. We can use those tools to enhance our learning strategy. But be careful, these are only tools, and like many other tools, they should not be used in any unethical doings. Your brain is still the most essential part of yourself. These tools will just help you improve it and not make it lazy. So, how can we improve it? That's the reason why we will conduct this research. In this time of new normal, where many students find themselves struggling to adjust and to cope up with this present situation, this research aims to find out how other students create their own strategies of studying. By knowing this, we can analyze what are their different strategies, compare them to other strategies until we can see a pattern, and hoping to find what's the optimal strategy that will work on general students, especially during this pandemic. For the students who are struggling to find their strategy, let other students find it for you through us researchers. We can fight not only this pandemic, but also your well-being to learn.
Learning strategy is a vital part in a student's academic learning. In today's time, we are experiencing a pandemic called COVID-19. It affected many lives and caused much differences in terms of living, especially in the education system. The education system shifted from having face-to-face classes to online classes, which caused a drastic change on how students cope up and change their learning strategies to adapt to the new education system. Learning strategies refer to methods that students use to learn. Students have preferences on the knowledge acquisition process. It varies from one student to another, especially now that we are a part of a flexible learning system. The study aims to know a number of students' preferences and find out what works best for them. A lot of students have different learning strategies that works for them. The study examines on how much students adopt their new strategies during the pandemic. Since this pandemic started, the education system categorized students based on their education capacity. Quite a lot of students do not have access on proper connection to the internet, and the researchers want to know on what learning strategies they use. Since this pandemic started, it has affected the learning strategies of students, leading to them changing their information acquisition process. It is also vital on whether students learn indirectly, wherein they study by themselves, or learn directly from their teachers. Lastly, interviewing whether the learning strategies used both in face-to-face classes and online classes are of the same impact. The importance of comprehending the learning strategies of students can help better the knowledge acquisition process. It can help improve one's learning strategy, and sharing the learning strategies that the researchers acquired can support other students if ever their own learning strategy cannot reach and neutralize their own potential. Knowing the learning strategies can help students better communicate and understand each other because it shows on how they react once information is presented. Finding the right learning strategy for oneself is an extreme fulfillment, and it aids you on giving out your top potential on the process of acquiring knowledge.
Hi, James here. In research, problems and questions naturally occur, and we want to find an answer to those questions. We conducted this research because it would have a big benefit for the student now, especially that we are currently in a pandemic. The educational system now is different than before, and students are not used to this online education. The problem with the education right now in this pandemic is that it isn't fair for everyone. The education right now is in current need of technological gadgets such as phones or laptops just to be able to attend class, though not everyone is able to afford such things, especially right now that most people are losing their jobs because of the pandemic. Everyone has different ways of adapting to these circumstances right now, so knowing their ways of adapting to the education is helpful not just for them but maybe others as well. In these research topics, questions also naturally come up, like a new episode of an anime you are watching. For example, what is the percentage of students that adapt new strategies during the COVID-19 pandemic? Well, as you know, not everyone has the ability to adapt to such situations. It's the same as not everything you do are able to do by others as well, and it's the same the other way around. That is why it will be very helpful to know the percentage of the students that are able to adapt and unable to adapt. Another question that we may encounter is, how effective are those strategies to each students have on themselves? As you know, not everything is for you. Just like your crush, he or she is just not for you. So it's better for you to find another strategy if it's ineffective for you. The final question is, what are the learning strategies of the student who don't have any access or very little access to the internet during this pandemic? Not everyone is lucky or fortunate to be able to afford such an important thing, especially there is a pandemic going on. Knowing these strategies will be very helpful to others who are in the same situation. These are just some of the questions that come up in a research topic. There are a lot of possible questions, but not every question has an answer, and not every question should have the answer.
As a researcher or just a normal student doing their activities, have you ever thought of doing it just for the grades and thinking that it was just complete nonsense? Well, I just want to remind you that every little thing that you do is important. Every effort you exert in doing something has a benefit not only for you but also to the others. Just like the importance of water to the fish, let's take a look at the significance of our study. The current learning setup today was very new to everyone. Pandemic changes the way of the traditional face-to-face classes to the new blended and flexible learning. With this, learning strategies of the students were also changed. This research was made not just because for the sake of grades, but it will be beneficial to the following. Students. A lot of students have been struggling finding out their ways in how to make this difficult learning easier. This study will make the students prepared enough to the learning who are having a hard time coping with the new normal setup. Data gathered from this study will help the students find the new learning techniques that will be more effective during today's learning. Teachers. Teachers can also benefit from this study, for it will give them an idea on how students deal with the current learning style. Furthermore, It will also help them to know what is the effective learning style that will satisfy the strategies of the students, future researchers. Moreover, this study can use for more references and can help future researchers to obtain more information suitable for their study.
To begin, we must define what learning strategies are. In 1992, according to Shoemaker and Deschler, individuals' approaches to completing or to complete a task are referred to as learning strategies. Learning strategies in particular are an individual way of organizing the use of a specific strategy or set of skills in order to learn content or accomplish various tasks more effectively and efficiently in both academic and non-academic settings. Learning strategies are the tools and techniques that students use to learn or gain knowledge, and learning strategies are an essential component of achieving autonomy. Previous overall research on learning strategies indicates and suggests that using learning strategies can improve a person's performance. There are various methods or types of learning strategies that a person uses, and it also depends on how they employ them, and learning strategies can also help students improve one's performance in inclusive settings or on grade-appropriate tasks. In the current pandemic, DepEd has created and developed learning strategies as a solution that allows students to continue their educational journey without interruption. Blended learning is the answer to enabling education to progress not only during a pandemic lockdown, but also in the digital era. This blended learning is currently a combination of online and modular learning. Online learning, also known as e-learning, is a method of education that takes place through the use of the internet. This still necessitates the use of equipment such as gadgets, as opposed to modular learning, which employs self-learning modules based on the most essential learning competencies provided by the DepEd. They are both forms of distance education. The so-called new normal of education has already begun in the school year 2020-2021. Many students and teachers are still struggling to deal with the challenge of different learning methods. Students and teachers are still on the lookout of new learning strategies that can assist them. However, there are students who are developing learning strategies to accomplish various tasks more effectively and efficiently, such as establishing a new routine, and as well as are unable to see. As well as teachers, they are still working on ways to engage and support students when they are unable to see and guide them personally. They use other learning strategies such as recording video and lessons. And nowadays, there are numerous learning strategies used not only by students and teachers but only influencers. Like Camarabilla, also known as Coach Laika, Ayn Bernos, and Teacher Maureen are three such people. They are all teachers and they are among many other social media influencers who create and share educational content that is creative and innovative. They created this as a learning strategies using social media to give and share ideas and knowledge about math, history, English, or any topic. It may include as a platform that can be useful to continue education. In today's pandemic, learning is difficult because we still require equipment to learn in the current state of education. Even teachers are having difficulty with the current teaching method. Everyone must have a role to play and must take their responsibility seriously. Today, education is for and by everyone. No one is left behind. We feel and stand together.
Hi, researcher. A researcher is someone who conducts research. It is an organized, systematic investigation into something. We solve problems by doing research. We answer the problems of the past, answer the problems of the present, to help us answer the problems for the future. Someone's the desire to face the challenges and solving them solved, like movies or stories, which makes us, the people, the audience, the readers, puts us in the same situation. We think, we make conclusions to end the story, we make theories on how will they solve their problem. We use the clues that was given to us to end one story. Some wants to get intellectual joy of doing creative work, the feeling of completion, the relief feeling of solving the unsolved. Some wants to be in the service of society, to to help people, serve people, and inform people. We have the desire to seek information. Everybody has the desire to seek information. There's no problem about being curious. Some may call you odd, but that's about it. Nothing's wrong with being curious. Never stop being curious. Why? We learn something new to hone your problem-solving skills and to challenge yourself in new ways. As Albert Einstein said, curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but in awe when one contemplates the mystery of eternity, of life, of the marble structure of reality. Now that's settled. The reason why we need to be curious about this topic is because these terms, such as learning strategies, teaching strategies, and strategic learning, are used widely to imply the learners. They can choose specific procedures for accomplishing a particular task. Strategy helps students to become more efficient and more effective learners during this pandemic. Learning strategies are particularly important for helping students to bypass their areas of weakness and to rely on their areas of competence. Effective learning occurs when students' application of specific learning strategies interacts with a wide range of other processes, including automatic retrieval of basic skills, appropriate attention in the learning situation, self-awareness, motivation, and self-concept. Online education enables the teacher and the students to get their own learning pace, and there's the added flexibility of setting a schedule that fits everyone's agenda. Studying online teaches you the vital time management skills, which makes finding a good work-study balance easier. We might stick with this new way of learning for a while. We are isolated in our houses. We don't have social interactions with new people. We can't see each other every day, but with different strategies to overcome this kind of situation, all of us can get used to this and help with our everyday tasks until the day we can get an easy relief for defeating the enemy called COVID.
Why do we research? Why research important?
It can answer those questions that you've been thinking of. Let me show you how that is good.
All you have to do is give it time to understand. Oh,
Don't you worry, we can get benefit from research.
We've been searching, looking for various answers. Questions we want to solve, theories we want to know.
Cause it's all research, only if you like it what you get.
Because research are important for us. Research stays forever for other students.
It can answer those questions that you've been thinking of.
It shows us answers, so it doesn't lie.
Research like this, baby, it's what we've been searching.
Oh, don't you worry.
We can get benefits from research.
We've been searching, looking for various answers. Questions we want to solve, theories we want to prove.
Cause it's all research, only if you like it what you get. Because research are important for us. Oh,
We've been searching and looking for various answers.
questions we want to solve, theories we want to prove.
Cause it's our research, only
Media Encoder.